Hello again, everyone. I'm Joe Longinusa, welcoming you to another edition of Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where industry leaders, golf professionals, and legends all come and discuss the great game we love so much. So without further ado, let's turn it over to our host to tell us who's next on the tee. Chris, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming back and joining me today again on Next on the Tee. We know you got a lot of choices out there for shows to listen to, and we really appreciate the fact that you've chosen Next on the Tee to be one of them. I am your host, Chris Mascaro, and today, 2003 PGA champion Shaun Micheel is back with me to share more of his insights and his experiences, plus answer more of your questions as well. So Shaun's going to be joining me here in just a few moments. So we're going to have a lot of fun this morning. It's going to be another insightful show. So I'm so glad that you're here to take the journey with me this morning. But before we get started, as you all know, our show goes out across the world, all over the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network, thanks to those guys. So we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to everyone, all of our friends over in Paris, for the horrible atrocities with the bombings and shootings that took place over there. Simply horrifying. May you and our brave men and women serving in our U.S. military around the world find peace and safety today and every day going forward. We want to observe a moment of silence out of respect for all of those who have lost their lives and whose lives have been taken not only from them but their families as well due to these horrible terroristic acts.
You're listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, heard around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network.
Okay, Next on the Tee is brought to you today by our friends over at Seymour Putters. Let's get things rolling by hearing a word from our friends over there.
Golfers, has this happened to you? Great drive, perfect second shot on the green, only to 3 or even 4 putt? Shaking your head all the way back to the cart. I have good news. Help is on the way with the Seymour Putter. The Seymour Putter Company patented RST technology sets up the putter perfectly every time using a visible gun sight on the top line. Genius. It's like locking radar onto the target, in this case, the golf hole, putting the golfer in perfect position to make a reliable and consistent stroke. The 1999 U.S. Open, 2007 Masters, and 2015 British Open champions all used, you guessed it, the Seymour Putter. So if you're ready to make more putts, take strokes off your game, log on to Seymour.com. That's SEEMORE.com, and put a Seymour Putter in your bag today.
Yeah, like Joe said, check out the putter technology to help win now 3 majors and 36 tour events and counting, because this year's men's British Open champion was using a Seymour putter, and it's going to help you make more putts too. I know it's helping me. Check them out online at Seymour.com, and that's SEMORE.com, and get one in your bag. You're going to be very glad you did. We are also sponsored by the French Lick Resort up in French Lick, Indiana. Folks, you want to talk about a spectacular resort to play golf and to just relax and enjoy yourself. Well, you're not going to find a better place anywhere on the planet than the French Lick Resort. Go to FrenchLick.com and see for yourself. I had the privilege of taking my family there back in June, and we are already looking forward to the opportunity to get back up there as soon as possible. The resort, it's historic. It's beautiful, beautiful gardens out back behind the resort, and a huge, relaxing rocking chair porch all along the front. And the golf, my friends, oh my goodness, the golf. The Pete Dye course is kept in championship condition year-round, and they could be ready to host a major championship at a moment's notice. This year, they hosted the Senior PGA Championship and the LPGA Legends Championship. So if you've always wondered what it would be like to play in major championship conditions, well, you can do it up there at the Pete Dye course. They've also got the Donald Ross design course, which is also fantastic. It's the site of Walter Hagen's PGA Championship victory back in 1924. They also have the Valley Links course on the property that dates back to 1907. So the French Lick Resort needs to be on your list of places to stay and play. And oh, by the way, folks, they got a casino right there on the property for you as well. For more information and to book your stay, go to FrenchLick.com. Also want to give a shout out to our friends over at Allen Edmonds, maker of top quality made in the USA shoes. Folks, the shoes of great leaders from the Oval Office to corner offices, the stage and screen, and promising cubicles all around the country are part of what make people successful. The right footwear is important on the carpets and the hardwood floors of our global economy. Get it right with made in the USA quality and value from Allen Edmonds. Allen Edmonds is an American original. They've been making shoes right here in the U.S. in Wisconsin since 1922. Check them out online at allenedmonds.com. All right, let's kick off today's show like we do every single week here on Next on the Tee, and that's by saluting our brave men and women serving in our military all around the world. We want to thank all of you for your daily sacrifices and for what you do every day to keep the rest of us safe. We also want to thank our veterans for all you've done for us over the years. We truly appreciate everything that our military personnel do to preserve our freedoms and our liberties. Like we're finding out now every day, it's through your strength and your efforts that our way of life is even possible. Our sincere thanks as well to Shaun Cruz and all the wonderful folks over at the Armed Forces Radio Network. It's an honor for us to have Next on the Tee be a part of your network. You can find our show by going to armedforcesradionetwork.org. Also want to remind our veterans, be sure to check out globalvoiceforveterans.org. Check it out, bookmark it, and check out, and you'll come back and check it, as often as you possibly can, because they've got so many great news articles and insights for you, a wealth of information designed specifically for our veterans. I'm sure you're going to find that information both interesting and beneficial for you. So please go to globalvoiceforveterans.org. Okay, now back with me to answer more of your questions and share more of his insights on the Seymour Putters guest line is our really good friend, 2003 PGA champion Shaun Micheel. And I want to remind you about Shaun's background because, too much of what he was able to achieve, unfortunately, doesn't go recognized like it should be. He was one of the most accomplished players back in the early part of the 2000s before injury sidetracked his playing career. From 2000 until 2007, he obviously won the 2000 PGA Championship at Oak Hill. 3 years later, at the 2006 PGA Championship at Medinah, he finished second to Tiger Woods. He had a third-place finish in 2002, so it's not like he came out of nowhere to win the 2003 PGA Champion, as some would have you believe. In all, over that 8-year stretch, he had 17 top 10 finishes, 48 top 25s, and he won over $7.3 million. And let's not forget that he came back from injury in 2010 and had 3 more top 10s that year, 5 top 25s, and won over $1 million that season as well. So I want to keep reminding our golf fans and some media members as well that Shaun Micheel is far from a one-hit wonder because there weren't many players better than he from 2000 until 2000. And if it wasn't for Tiger Woods, and I know many guys can say this, but Shaun would be a 2-time major champion right now. And he's back next on the tee with me again this morning. Good morning, Shaun. How are you, my friend?
Hey, good morning, Chris. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. So, Shaun, the first thing I got to know, did you use the bullseye putter this week at the web.com Q School tournament? And if you did, how did it work out for you?
Yeah, I did use it. And, as I said last week, I think it just kind of offered a more simple kind of technique, I think, for, the way it looks and just the simpleness of it just makes just back and through type of stroke. But I putted okay, and the greens were slower than I had expected. Last year when I was down there, the greens got really quick. The weather was really cold and dry, and I think the greens were quick, and so I kind of expected quick greens. And when you use a bullseye putter, there's not a lot of mass there, which I like on fast greens. I don't like a whole lot, really behind the ball. And I putted okay. I didn't hit the ball particularly well. For whatever reason, it was really wet. And they were playing lift clean in place for all the rounds, and the last little bit, I kind of got into digging the ball a little bit, so I was having to putt for pars a little bit more than I'd wanted to. But the putter was there, and I think it's a great putter on bent grass green, and even with the golf balls today, that as firm as they are, it felt great. So. I suspect that I'll stick with it for a little while, but now I'm just kind of excited to be home and and I didn't make it through the qualifying. So I've got some time to kind of digest my my plans and try to figure out what I'm going to do. But for right now, I'm going to spend some time at home and do some hunting with my family.
All right. So, as you look out, what is the process next for you to get back out on tour? What can our fans, our listeners and your fans look forward to for trying to root you on for making your way back out on tour?
Yeah, well, as many people know, we went to this when they got rid of the PGA Tour qualifying school, which I think the 2012 PGA Tour qualifying school was the last one. They've made it the path of the PGA Tour is through the web.com, and that tour is extremely competitive. It's just got a lot of young and talented kids that play well, hit the ball a long way, and so for right now, this year I played 5 tour events. I didn't play any web.coms. I mean, even though I have status, I'm so far down, and I'd have to say there's got to be in excess of 400 members of the web.com tour. So it doesn't leave a lot of room for players that are non-exempt to even get in. So you're kind of left with Monday qualifying, and of course, being a member, if I get into an event, make some money, then I move up into the reshuffle, which is great. But I don't know. It's just I think attitude has been a big part of maybe my lack of success over the last year or so. I've got a little bit disenchanted, I think, with the game. But my goals still remain the same. I think I've got to make some fundamental changes, I think, in order to really, get committed to get back out onto the PGA Tour. Now, I've been practicing hard, and I think that's just one aspect of it. The other is finding a teacher and having a plan to get back and to be a little bit more consistent in my approach to the technical aspects of the game. I've talked to several people on the phone about meeting up with them in this winter and trying to get something going. So for right now, those are things I need to do. It's almost like I'm starting back at square one again. But I'd love to get back out there on the tour, but it's really the onus is on me. And how much of this do I want to do? How much effort do I want to put into it? And I think those are some of the things that you see with other athletes when they get later on in their career. They get tired of the constant workouts. They get tired of just being away from home and doing all those things. And maybe I'm getting at that point, right now. But I still want to play. I saw some good things out there in Houston, but there's just too many bad things, and most of that was probably attitude. So, a lot of scar tissue built up over the years. So, like I said, I still want to play, but I place no blame on any one area. I think a lot of it is, as they always say, is kind of between the ears, and
right.
If you want to be out there, you got to be committed and you got to be kind of all in with this thing. And if you're not, then you either just find something else to do, or you just kind of bide your time, and which is what I've kind of been doing. I think really till I turn 48, I should have enough career money to get into the web.com tour through the 48, 49-year-old category. So that's the plan right now.
And you talk about attitude, and Shaun, when something sort of becomes, a grind, or what becomes a job or that sort of thing, at some point, do you look back and find, it's got to be fun too, right? I mean, you can't just go out there hating, beating balls on the range and this, and you go through it. How do you find the zest for the game, or the fun part of the game, or how do you get that, as you talk about, and we talk about it on, the show, all the time with different instructors, because the game is played in that 5-inch space between our ears. So it's like finding the love for the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly at the amateur level, I think when a man or woman, when they go out there and whatever it is, you play, you hit that one solid shot, and that kind of leads into a couple solid shots, and then you play a really good 9 holes, and you can. I think everybody has different expectations for the game, and as a professional, the standard is pretty high. And when you get to the point where you're spending a lot more time maybe working on ball contact, which I seem to have been spending a lot more time doing, and I call that remedial. I mean, I feel like I'm back in remedial training where I'm not hitting the ball solidly every single time like I once did. So, playing the game is certainly beating balls is not what you want to be doing. I mean, when there's things to work on, whether it's a drill that you're doing, you always have to have some sort of goal in mind for your practice, as opposed to just taking a big bucket of balls and just throwing it down and just start hitting. And I think I've kind of gotten into that a little bit. But the zest for the game comes from just, I think, the passion to want to compete and to want to succeed and to want to challenge yourself. And when you kind of get out there and you hit a bad shot and you just don't care, I think that's where you start to think about whether you want to continue on doing this or I mean, I look at my father's group and they go out there and they have fun, and my dad doesn't hit it great anymore. He's getting older and he doesn't seem to care too much. And I can't ever imagine myself getting to that point. But you gotta love it. You gotta absolutely love doing what you're doing. And I think seeing some of the success is really what makes you kind of come out. They talk about people, they come out and they birdie the last hole and they can't wait to get back out the next round. And I think that's kind of the same thing for me.
It's interesting, Shaun, and we've talked about your experiences and being around Jack Nicklaus, and Nicklaus is one of my big heroes for all the things, and not only he accomplished on the golf course, but what he does away from the game as well. And when you talk about that, there are a couple of things that come to mind to me that from what some things that I've heard Mr. Nicklaus say. One, kind of going back to watching the '86 Masters and some of the highlights that videotapes and DVDs have been put together about that. Towards the end of it, he talks about the famous story about how they put the article on the refrigerator saying he was old, rusty, done, that sort of thing. And after having won it, he makes the comment how I'm not too old and I'm not done, right? And I think about that with you for the things that you accomplished in your career and your battle back, because I don't think you're too old and I don't think you're done. But talk about kind of the gumption, if you will, is part of the motivation. And we've had this conversation over the last couple of weeks where some folks and some media members haven't been as nice to you as they should have been. We've seen it even recently, unfortunately, over some things over social media. But does that get in you a little bit to say, what? I'm not done, and I'm not as bad as what you're trying to make me out to be. And you know what? I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you that I can still play at a high level.
Yeah, I don't really have that motivation, really. I think a lot of this has been going on for a long time. But look, when you're playing professional golf on the tour, there's these stages of life, and we're all going through them. And I look back to when I was playing the Asian Tour in 1998, when I first started to get some more confidence in my game and in myself. I wasn't married yet. I didn't have any children. And so it was all golf. And even up until when I was, through high school and college and early years as a pro, I didn't have any responsibilities that really, other than to myself and how committed I was to playing and practicing. But then as I got a little bit further on in my life and in my career, Stephanie and I got married. And she's an attorney, so she was practicing and everything, and I was still kind of doing my thing. But now I've added something else into my life that wasn't just about golf. So, then we decided to have children, and then that took another piece of me away from, maybe playing golf and thinking golf 24/7. And I think when you're younger and you don't have these great things in your life that it's easy to kind of go out there and play with your buddies. But I don't use any negativity really as motivation. I don't at least I don't outwardly kind of portray that. I mean, I certainly think about some of the things. Most of what I think about when I hear negative things are just the fact that I don't think that many people understand what it's like to perform, to play the game at a high level, and to have to sit there and listen to people that try to criticize and critique everything that you do when they've never even been inside the rope. So I take a lot of solace in the fact that many of the things that these writers do and say are the things that all of us can do and say. I could go to school and learn to be a great writer, okay? They can't go back and they'll never be able to do what I do. So I kind of take solace in that fact, and it is on me. Some of the things that people they might say, I think they kind of upset you because they don't take the opportunity to ask you questions and things like that. But like I said, I look at that as not motivation, but just kind of frustration, I think, and maybe some anger at some of these people, and just at the callous way that they approach people in general, and just kind of throw out all sense of morality and ethics in order to deal with their own internal issues, because maybe they weren't as successful as they would have liked to have been. So, some people use, like Ricky Fowler is a perfect example, and I think he had an unbelievable attitude, at least in the media. I certainly don't know how he was feeling behind the scenes when they were talking about him being overrated. He certainly used that as motivation for himself. He's acknowledged as much. Whether he was really angry and what he was doing in his workouts, or what his personal feelings were behind the scenes, it's anyone's guess. We're all human. We're all affected by things in different ways, but it's how I think you kind of manifest everything, and you can let it simmer and stew, and it can ruin you, or you can use that to just be accepting that people just can't please everyone, and that you just got to kind of move on. I think that's what he did, and I think that his story is pretty incredible. Because he's been such a great player. But anyway, everybody uses things in different ways, and
right.
I don't need any more motivation. Maybe 15 years ago it might have been different, but as we get older, we allegedly get smarter. Or maybe we just realize maybe how dumb we were years ago. I don't know, but things. I guess things just don't matter to me as much as they do anymore, because I just don't care. I've got other things that I need to worry about, and I want to play golf. I want to continue to play golf, and I've said this, but maybe my PGA Tour career might have come to an end. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I still played 5 events this year and everything, but I would like to get out there one more time to kind of play it out and just kind of see. But I got to put the work in, and I've just got to do the things that I got to work a little bit harder probably now at my age to ensure that I can get out there and stay healthy. And I think that's the most important part of all of it is staying healthy.
Yeah. Right. And Shaun, I read an older article written by a guy by the name of Bob Whitbread, and he titled it "Out of the Ashes Rose a Phoenix." And in it, he details the 2002 BC Open, which you've talked about a few times, a tournament you probably should have won. But Bob in the article was caddying for Spike McRoy, who would go on, to win the event. And,
Bob's caddy for me too.
Is that right?
Yes. We call him Psychological Bob. That's his
right?
nickname, Psychological Bob. Yes.
He wrote a wonderful article, and and he said kind of that's where everyone started to really take notice of you. He even discussed that's probably where you got tired of losing, which helped you go on at Oak Hill. Talk about what you remember about that tournament, because he said you probably should have lapped the field that week. That's how well you were playing going into the final round. So talk about that and what you remember about Bob.
Well, I think Bob first caddied for me we played. It was up at the I think it was in Pleasant Valley in Massachusetts. I cannot remember the name of the tournament, but the head pro there was a guy named Bob Molt, and Bob was someone that I sought out when I first turned professional. I turned professional in January of 1992. Bob had led a contingent of people down to South Africa to play the Sunshine Tour. Anyway, so we call him Psychological Bob, and I don't know. I think Bob was a psychology major, and you talk to him, he's just got this very calm voice and a different perspective, a different way of thinking about playing the game. And it didn't always click with me because I've never been someone that needed someone to pat me on the back or kind of give me a rah. I was always somebody, when I played basketball in high school, I needed you to yell at me. I was totally fine with that. But anyway, yeah, so Bob and I worked together a couple of times, and it's been a long, long time, and that's a name from the past. I've not seen Bob in a long time. But certainly I kind of found my way, keeping my card a couple of years in 2000, 2001, and I went to the BC Open, and I was 19 under after 3 days, and I was trying to catch Jeff Sluman's scoring record, which I think at the time was 21 or 22 under. I think I shot 67, 65, 65, something like that. Had a hole-in-one on 17 on Saturday, and promptly got driving home back to the hotel, I got a warning for talking on my cell phone in the car. I was so excited. But yeah, certainly that was a tournament that I should have won. I played pretty well. I think as I said last week, some of my play and maybe some of the reasons I haven't gotten in the top 10 quite as much are maybe because of my conservative style of play. That just didn't lend itself to firing at a lot of flags and therefore maybe making a lot of birdies, particularly when it really mattered on Sunday. So I think I kind of got into that trap a little bit on Sunday at the BC Open. And Spike, I think, went out and shot 6 or 7 under. I think he shot 7 under on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah, and so I remember coming down the last 2 holes, and I was tied. And 17's a par 3, and I did a hole-in-one the day before. And pin was in the back, and I hit a shot. I think it was a 6-iron. It went just over the green, and I hit an unbelievable chip. It lipped out, went about 5 feet by, and it was really the first putt that I remember missing all week. So it came down to 18, and I hit it a little bit to the right. And there's a big tree over there, it's a bunch of trees, and I had to hit some punch cut around the corner, and I hit it straight, and I tried to chip it in and make bogey. I mean, because I needed to make birdie to tie. So it was extremely disappointing, and because I really had played so well the first 3 days, the ball striking didn't really leave me the last day. It was, I think it was just the conservative style of not wanting to make a mistake, and that really hurt me, and it really hurts everybody on Sundays. It's tough to lead. Some guys, I mean, you look at Tiger Woods. I mean, how many major championships has he won? I think he's won all of them from the lead. He's never won one, I don't think, coming from behind. And I think he's, Wai Yang is one of the first guys to beat him when Tiger did have a 54-hole lead. So it's some guys just are able to hold on to leads and continue to play well, and it's kind of a mixed bag. A lot of guys don't even get a chance to be in contention in any of the major championships or events. But yeah, it was a conservative approach, I think, in the end that really kind of got me. And it came down to the last 2 holes because I was really striking the ball so well. And that might have been the year that I finished 4th in greens in regulation. I'd have to go back and look. But it was a great ball striking year. Ultimately, you got to get the ball in the holes quicker, and that's with the putter usually. So disappointing. It really was. And I referenced that in 2003 several times at the PGA when I think I just got sick of losing because I've been in contention a number of times, and I don't look at being in contention either as being first or second place. I mean, I think everybody within 2 or 3 shots of the lead going into Sunday, or even a couple more, are in contention, and so I'd done that, but I don't know. There's parts of me that we've talked about flying. I mean, there's parts. David Faraday certainly said that he hated the feeling of the nerves on any particular day, whether it's Thursday or Sunday, and that was really kind of what took away from his love of playing professional golf at a high level, because he just hated that feeling of being nervous. And
right.
David was a Ryder Cup player, and we played together a couple of times. Some people use that as motivation to go play well, and it's a great feeling. And I remember that was a feeling that I had in 2003, is I was nervous, but I wasn't nervous that I was going to screw up. I was nervous for the opportunity, about how I was going to be received by the fans going into Sunday, whether anybody really wanted me to win, what the writers were going to write. I mean, there was a lot of things besides just going out and playing golf that I was thinking about. When you're not playing well, you worry about hitting it all over the golf course. You worry about missing a 1-footer in front of 10,000 people. You worry about those types of things. And when you have to try to figure out a way to put that out of your mind. But the nerves that I felt in 2003 were nerves of kind of expectation and the fact that I thought that I was going to get my first win, and that is in fact what I did. And I'll never forget my answer. I answered one question. Someone asked me about what I felt like about the next day, and I obviously said I clearly don't have any expectations. I don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow or how I'm going to feel, but I feel pretty good. And and that, when I look back and I see that interview, I watch all the time. I realized that I finally had reached a point where I was not going to let nerves, the negative part of that, affect my game, and it didn't. And a lot of other times it just did. So, a lot of great memories and a lot of things that I could probably use to this day to kind of get myself up and be a little bit more positive about my game. Sometimes I get a little bit too hard on myself, but I think we all do that on occasion. But I love to reminisce about positive things. There's certainly been enough negative things that have happened to me in my career. Poor choices, poor clubs, poor play. But there's been some good stuff in there too. And I do like to look. I do like to look back at that, and I just kind of smile sometimes.
Speaking of looking back, and Shaun, we've talked about the opportunities that you had to play with the now late great Yogi Berra, and I saw a post from Stick Johnson. You want to talk about guys that caddied for you before? Stick Johnson caddied for you at the Hope. He posted a picture of you with Yogi and Sugar Ray Leonard. So I'm curious. Sugar Ray is another guy that I admired, back in the '80s, and his career and the things that he was able to achieve. What was it like playing golf with Sugar Ray Leonard?
I enjoyed it very much. I think it's a fun tournament to play. Both that, I call it the Bob Hope, and I suspect I will forever. That and the AT&T, where you find yourself in this celebrity rotation, and you get to be out there with people that like you said, you admire, you follow their careers. What was interesting about Sugar Ray is at the end, my father-in-law was a huge Muhammad Ali fan. Really loved everything that he did and stood for. And we were talking a little bit about boxing, and I had asked Sugar Ray if he might sign something for my father-in-law, and he said absolutely. And what he did was I gave him the address and everything, and what he did was he sent a signed set of boxing gloves to him. Wow! And I thought that was pretty cool, but. Most of my responsibility in those events are to try to make sure, one, that they're having a great time. But what's interesting about these guys is when they're out of their element, where you take Yogi Berra, he'd been out of baseball for a long, long time. But the pressure existed. Sugar Ray Leonard had been out of boxing. And any of these other athletes that participated in other sports, I mean, you get them inside the golf course, they're like nervous cats. And it takes a lot of me and a lot of the other players to kind of just put your arm around them and say, hey, it's really not that big of a deal. Don't even look over there to those people, or just pretend we're out here just playing golf. I don't care what you shoot. I want to play well, you want to play well, but so there's a lot of that, and it really surprising that these players, some of them Hall of Fame players, that they just get out of their element a little bit, and they're just not that they're starstruck, but they're like a deer in headlights, and they just don't know how to respond. And I've played with Roger Clemens and Carson Daly from the Today Show. He and I've played a couple times together. He's a pretty good golfer too. So it's fun. It was always fun playing with those types, just to kind of see how they were going to react when they were playing my sport. And so
that's a great point, Shaun, because you look at guys from other sports, right? Whether it's Yogi or Sugar Ray or whoever it is, right? Golf is a solitary thing, right? I mean, the opponent in golf, for the most part, we say is you're playing the golf course, so really the golf course is your opponent. But when you got guys that are playing other sports, I mean, I guess you can focus on Sugar Ray. Obviously, there's a guy right in front of him in the ring. So you're focused on what that guy is doing, right? You're not focused on the thousands of people in the arena or around the world watching the thing. Or Yogi, when you're playing baseball, the opponent's on the diamond. You're paying attention to the pitcher. So that's sort of where your focus is. But when you're out there on the golf course, it's you, right? You're the single focus of everybody, right? And now suddenly you become aware of the crowd, right?
Well, there's a lot of idle time. I don't know. I'm sure you could figure it out. In the round of golf of 18 holes, I mean, how many times you actually really focused on hitting a shot? Maybe 5 or 6 minutes for the entire 4.5 hours that you're out there. So there's a lot of time of kind of walking around, looking for your ball, hit a few in the crowd, mingling with them a little bit, watching your opponents play and hit great shots, hit poor shots. So there's a lot of things that you see out there. So the game, it's not as fluid as other sports. Baseball has a little bit of kind of the same types of things as golf. There's a lot of time in between pitches. There's a lot of time in between innings. So there's similar in that way. But whereas these other sports are a lot more fluid and things are coming at you a lot quicker, and you're just reacting. And so in golf, you hit a shot and you walk and you got times to think about whatever it is you want to think about. So it's difficult, and you can kind of see that sometimes the guys get a little bit on edge, that maybe the game is a little bit slower than what they're used to. And then it really gets slow in those type of events because they're being asked for autographs and they're having to stop, and so there's no fluidity to the game. And that's what hurts. That's what hurts golf, and I think that's what's being discussed in the last few years with this pace of play, that people want to see golf. They don't want to see guys just standing around lining up shots. They want to see the ball in the air. But it is very solitary, and it's something that I enjoy. I always love playing team sports, and but I enjoyed not having to rely on anybody else. I was totally fine if I screwed up. And I think most people are. And I think where the frustration comes in when somebody else makes a kind of a careless mistake and it maybe affects your team. But that's how it is. You win as a team and you die as a team. And,
right.
But I don't think I'd be a very good team player anymore. I just done so much work by myself, over the years, whether it's practice or just playing rounds of golf out there. By myself and my caddy. I enjoy playing practice rounds by myself now. I just like to kind of go out and just kind of do my own thing, and that's certainly changed over the years too. But it's lonely at times, and but it's very rewarding when you realize some of your goals and some of the things that you've worked hard for kind of come to fruition. And like I said, I'm totally fine accepting the bad because it's on me. I don't blame my caddies for anything. I mean, sometimes, you might get a yardage off or something like that. But I like the fact that I can look in the mirror and I can know whether or not I gave my best effort or not.
Right. And when, Shaun, you got the opportunity to play at the Bob Hope Classic a bunch of times. Just curious, was there ever whether it's an athlete from another sport or a celebrity that was there that you were like, wow, I can't believe so and so this year? Maybe intimidated to go over and say hi, or took a little gumption to go over and introduce yourself to?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think after my win, I think that I felt very comfortable with meeting people. George Lopez and of course Justin Timberlake. Memphi, and I've kind of gotten to know him a little bit. But there was, as I told you last week, my love of aviation really trumps all else. I think as in my life, besides my kids. Is I played one year with Burt Rutan. Now, Burt is an engineer and has designed countless aircraft and these space vehicles that are going up. He's had a lot of impact on the aviation community from design, from technological aspects. With he's just an interesting guy to talk to. It took me a little while to kind of get him to come out of his shell a little bit. One, because I'm not as smart as this person. I mean, he is a brilliant mind, and so a lot of the times he's talking about coefficients and drag and all this stuff, and I know it on a layperson's level, but it was hard for me because I didn't really know how to kind of go up and approach him during the round about his designs and just his thoughts on the space program, all these types of things. So I would say, definitely I was a little bit more intimidated, really kind of bringing that up, just because I knew that I wasn't on his level, and so he's definitely somebody that I enjoyed playing with, but it took me a little while to kind of get him to come out a little bit, because I think just mentality, the mentality of him was he seemed to be very introverted in the beginning. And maybe he just felt like we were all beneath him, on the IQ scale, which we probably were. But he's just somebody that I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to get him to come out, how I was going to be able to get these questions asked and answered. And but as far as other celebrities, I never had a problem. I always, if they were playing an event, they knew what the event was about. They were there to have a good time with the fans, and certainly we bounced questions off another. He wanted me to, he or she wanted me to ask about golf or whatever, and I would ask them about what they did, and we just most of those people are just great to be around, and absolutely infatuated with golf, so they're fun to play with.
I'm talking to 2003 PGA champion Shaun Micheel here on the Armed Forces Radio Network. And Shaun, I saw a Twitter post about dogleg reaper belts, which very cool item. I saw the picture of you sporting one of those things. How'd you come across those guys?
Well, those types of belts have really kind of been around. I've always been kind of this old school type belt. It's just kind of black or brown. It's usually all I ever wore. And I found, I can't even remember where I found these belts. I think I was looking and I'd seen something, and I was like, you know what, those are really cool. And I like the colors. I like the way that it can fit. A lot of times you put on a belt, and the hole may not be in the exact perfect spot. Well, I mean, when you have a belt like this, I mean, the dogleg reaper belt was pretty cool. So I sent it out a Twitter message. I think I followed them on Twitter, and then I got a follow right back, which allowed me to kind of instant message them, and that's kind of how we hooked up. And they've been great. The buckles are great. Got lots of choices and things like that. And there are other belts that are out there that are very similar, but so they sent me some belts for free, and I told them I'd kind of get it out there and on social media a little bit, and hopefully that's helped a little bit. But they're cool. Like I said, different colors, and you can if you've got a little bit too much to eat the night before, you can loosen it up a little bit. Anyway, I think they did the functionality of them too are it's really great too. To just slide it in there and pull till it's tight enough.
Yeah, no, they're very cool belts. I was greatly impressed. I looked at, I saw the picture obviously that you posted on Twitter, and then I checked out their Facebook page and their site. Very cool stuff. If our folks listening in want to check it out, go to doglegreaper.com. So great stuff, and you can find them on Twitter as well and on Facebook. So yeah, very stylish, very cool.
Shaun, I go ahead. The belt buckles, like I said, I've always been kind of a traditionalist, but the belt buckles were some of the things that maybe bothered me a little bit more at first, but especially at my age. I understand it's kind of a young man's game and young man's dress. I still kind of get caught up in wearing khaki and navy, and you might see me in a few bright colors, but I just got this I get stuck in the old traditional colors, and so it was kind of a stretch. Even when I went to flat front pants a few years ago, it was a big stretch. So I chuckle now when I still see guys wearing pleats that I was ever able to transition. So a lot of cool stuff out there. You just gotta open up your mind a little bit. That's kind of I finally decided to do it. So I'm appreciative of what they're doing.
Yeah, no, it's not the traditional belt buckle, so it's a different look, and it's very cool. So I hope our listeners will go check it out again, doglegreaper.com. So very cool stuff. Yeah. Shaun, our first question from listeners, and we haven't gotten to many of them here today, so I want to make sure we get through some of them. Is going back to your double eagle at the 2010 U.S. Open. The question is, Shaun, what did you hit for your your double eagle at the 2010 U.S. Open, and what was your reaction? Did you see it go in?
Well, I'll answer that part first. No, I did not see it go in. Anybody that's been to Pebble Beach, number 6, you tee off and you kind of hit downhill a little bit, and there's some bunkers on the left. I was playing with VJ Singh, and we were both out there in the fairway. I think I'd hit 3 wood off the tee or something, and so the next shot is up a hill. I would say, it's a pretty good cliff. It's probably 30, 40 feet, maybe 50 feet up from the bottom of the fairway, maybe to the top of the top. And you kind of aim. There was a bush that you aimed at. Of course, I could kind of see the flag waving in the distance. But I had 230 to the front, and the pin was on 9, and it was really firm. Pebble Beach, what a great time of year to play that place in June. It was cool, but very firm, and I hit a 3-iron and just kind of hit it up in line with the bush that I was aiming at, and I just remember this tremendous roar just kind of came out, and I was like, well, I had to have gone in, and so it was really, really special. It really was. That was the second one that I'd made. I made one in the Pro-Am when I was playing the Nike Tour, I think 1999, I think. But to do this on Father's Day Sunday of the United States Open Championship at Pebble Beach was extremely special. But my wife was there. She saw it go in, and I got the ball out of the hole, and I walked over to her and gave her the ball because my mom was battling cancer, and she ultimately passed away 4 months after that. And so she had that ball, and when I got back, I had something special made for my mom, a plaque, and I had it put in there. And instead of giving it to my father, I gave it to my mom. So so that was it's a great memory. And my dad has it. And he wanted to give it back to me, and I told him, I said, no, you just keep it and just remember, that I was out there playing for her. So wow. A lot of special things happened to me that day.
Yeah, no kidding. That's fantastic. So, based on all of that, our listener wrote in and asked, a subsequent question, where does that rank amongst your favorite memories out there on the PGA Tour?
No, it's very high up there. Really, I do think a lot about the 2003 PGA and those and that, but I think about the first time that I got onto the PGA Tour. My mom and my sister, and of course my dad was caddying for me. We were playing out in Palm Springs, and I'd played okay the first couple of days, and I had a couple lackluster days in the middle, and it really came down to the last day. And I remember on 17. Which is where I made my last hole-in-one, in 2012. I made a really long putt for birdie, and I remember the pin was on the left and I was on the right. I made about a 40-footer. And of course, there weren't any leaderboards. You didn't really know exactly where you stood. And I got to 18, pretty good par 4, hit a drive out there, and I think the pin was front left, and I had a 6-iron into the green. And I just was hitting it so well, I just went right at the flag, and I hit it about 6 or 7 feet. Now, I missed the putt, which was disappointing. But prior to hitting the putt, somebody came up to I think it was my dad, and told him that all I had to do was 2-putt, and I was going to have my PGA Tour. I was going to be in a playoff. So there might have been some of that. But I remember that as much as anything, being able to share, getting my PGA Tour card with my sister and my mom and my dad, and we had my uncle was out there as well, and another friend of my dad's that were out there watching me. So that's a memory that I remember for a long time too, and probably ranks up there as high as any of them. Just the fact of getting my tour card for the very first time, and just the excitement that was around there, and I wouldn't say all of the work that I had done, because I'd only gotten out of school in December of '91, so I'd been out of school just a couple of years. When I got my card, so that's a memory that sticks with me as well.
Mm-hmm. Shaun, our next question is, have you ever considered writing a book about everything you've had to deal with, from getting on tour to winning a major, the internal issues you've dealt with after that, your injuries, and then ultimately your comeback?
Yes, I have. And I have things kind of written down. I keep a journal. And it's funny that question comes up, because my caddy, his name's Adam, and he caddied for me last week in Houston, and he asked me, he goes, how far along are you in your book? And he's been on me for the last year or so to write a book. And I think there's a lot of things to think about when you do that. You want to give some sort of positivity to the people who are reading it. I don't think like writing an autobiography would be something that, certainly there would be a lot of that in my life. A lot of that in the book about my life, I suppose. But I would like to know how I could write the book to where it would kind of exude a positivity about the things that have happened to me, even though there have been so many, I would say, negative things that have happened. So yes, I have thought about it. I've got several titles that I've thought about. Can
you share a few?
Those kind of written down. Well, I was thinking one the other day, and I think this, I think as your career has evolved, as my career has evolved, certainly the way I think of my golf game now as to what I did the year after I won the PGA, one of them was like, major disappointment, type of thing. I would like to use something like major championship or something. I'm clearly not a professional writer. Now my wife is an attorney and a very good writer, so maybe I could get her to help me. But if anybody's listening and want to help me write this book, I'd certainly love it, because I think there's a lot. We all have so many great stories. All of our lives are adventurous and exciting and thrilling and sad and angry. We run the gamut with emotion, and so I think each of us would be fully capable of writing a memoir or writing something about our life that might instill some goodness in other people. I think of all the things. My caddy brought this up to me the other day. He goes, what year was it that you saved those people when their car, was in the river?
Right.
And I said that was 1993. And he said, well, isn't that funny? 10 years later, you won the PGA. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I never really thought about it that way. But this person, the caddy, Adam, is an unbelievably positive person, very smart, and really brings a lot of great things to my attention that I kind of overlook. But I could go on really, but I've thought about it. I would like to write something in a way that I think people would find not only interesting, but might be able to just take something away, that might help them. And whether it's written towards younger people. I enjoy speaking to younger people. I enjoy speaking to college teams. I spoke to the University of Memphis team a couple of months ago at their facility, and there's really the one message I think I left with them, and I would leave with everyone, is that something that's affected me. And I think don't let your life kind of, or your career really dictate, your life and how you are as a person. Because I can tell you that, there are times that if I go out and I have a great round of golf, and this is, of course, when I'm playing more regularly, but I go out there and have a great tournament. Of course, everything's put in the paper, what your rounds were, unfortunately, how much money you make or whatever.
Right.
You feel good about it. I'm like, yeah, let's go out, Stephanie. Let's go out and let's go to the movies and let's go celebrate and let's go entertain and do all these things. And when I come back and I've had a bad tournament or I've had a bad round or whatever, I've really let that affect really my life, and I become kind of a recluse. And I think I really become more that way in the last couple of years, just because it's not fun. It's not really a lot of fun to go out. People ask me about my golf, and I don't really have any great results to share with anybody. So that's really my one message to the young people that are wanting to play professional golf. And, of course, that applies to everyone. It's hard. You have a great day at work. You feel great. You'll come home, hug your kids, and maybe have a glass of wine with your wife, and you have a great night together. And then you have a couple bad days at work, and you come back, and all you want to do is just kind of sit in your room and watch TV or figure it out, or think about what you need to do to get better, and those are the things. And it's a vicious cycle that you kind of get into, and I've certainly found myself in that way. So there would certainly be some of that stuff, I think, in there, and but it might be good for me to kind of get this out there, and whether or not it ever got published or even got read by a single person, I think it might be something good for me to do.
Yeah, no, I think it would be, well, obviously, I think it'd be therapeutic for you to put it there, and I think it would be a great read. I think there's so many things that, you have, dealt with, achieved, and done with your life that people need to know about. And like I say, even going all the way back to the intro with bringing you on the show, it's something that, your career is something that doesn't get enough recognition. Everyone wants to focus on the one major win and not really look at the sum total of the resume that you have for your time playing the game of golf out on the PGA Tour, and then even away from the game. I think that would be great for people to understand and read, and I think they would ultimately love reading it.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt that I think the stress of winning, a major championship is my first win. I think really, it took a toll on me. I'm kind of beyond it now, I think, but it really took a bigger toll on me than I thought in the beginning. You look back on things and you kind of think, well, I never really thought that it was going to impact me as much as it did, but it certainly did. Dealing with heart disease and dealing with the shoulder surgery that I had and the 6 anchors that Dr. Andrews put in my shoulder, just really, it changed my golf swing. And, I don't think most people don't know this, that, when I was a young person, my mom battled mental illness, and I spent a lot of time in Wyoming and in Colorado and in Washington State, because my dad was flying for FedEx, and he didn't have a way to care for his 2 kids because my mom spent a lot of time of her life in and out of, and weeks and months at a time, and so I saw a lot of really, really bad things when I was younger, and
wow.
That affected me, and some of them have to do with the police and my mom, and seeing those things as 10, 11 years of age, the way they treat mental patients, it was disturbing to me, and it's something I'll never forget. But again, we all have things that shape our lives and make us men and make us women, and you gotta figure out a way to deal with some of these things, and again, so maybe writing these things down and sharing these things might be of some interest to people, and
absolutely,
and maybe how they could and might even provide a little bit of benefit for them. So
absolutely,
it's something
right.
I've thought about doing, but I just don't know. I don't really know how to do it. I don't know how to start. John Feinstein wrote a book about me and the other 3 major winners in a couple of years ago, and it's called Moment of Glory. It's a book about the major championship win, of course, and also maybe some of our life, a lot of our life, really kind of how we got to be major champions. So there's a book out there you can find, Moment of Glory by John Feinstein, is a good friend of mine. And I almost think that I need some sort of ghost writer or whether it's John or somebody else out there to kind of helped me. I can tell you that I bought 2 books this year on how to write a book. So I've been reading those and I'm trying to how to get things out there. But it's got to be interesting for people. I mean, certainly my career hasn't been anything that people have maybe wanted to emulate. I suspect that when the younger people, when they think about who they'd like to be, they're not going to say Shaun and Micheel. I understand that. And that's not an issue for me. You got to set your standards high. I mean, go for the top, shoot for the best player in the world, and then settle for something less. And I think that's okay. Just be careful not to set your goals so high that you're defeated when you don't reach some of them. It's a tough sport. It's tough to win. It's tough to keep your card. Many guys that have played the PGA Tour never keep their card more than once or twice. You see the guys that been on the tour once, then they're on the web.com for 2 or 3 years, and they get back on tour. It takes something very special to play in almost 400 events that I've played in. It's not for everybody, and it's so there's a lot of great things that I have to say. We could spend a week probably talking about all of them, but so back to the book. Maybe I'll do it. I just got to find the right way and the right person to help bring some of this stuff out.
Yeah,
message across.
And John Feinstein, there probably isn't a better writer out there than John Feinstein. Hopefully, we can maybe we can put a little pair together. And
I don't know. I got John's number, so all I got to do is call him. But I don't know how any of this stuff really works. And but it's an interesting question because from your listener, because my caddy is always asking me how far along am I with my book? Have I finished it? As a matter of fact, he gave me a book about John Mahaffey the other day. Is signed to him and everything else, and it's called Hogan Boy. And I've not read it, but Adam didn't find it particularly interesting, and so he's like, well, surely you can make this book, better than this one. And I don't know. It might be a great read to me. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't find it. He just didn't find it interesting. I don't know. But so he gave that for me to read, to kind of peruse and see how he wrote his book. And I'd always take some encouraging words. And if there's somebody out there that wants to help me move this thing along, I'd probably be happy to do it.
There you go. All right, we got to try to make that happen. Shaun, before we let you go, another thing that not enough people probably know about outside of the Memphis or the Mid-South area is that you do a lot of work for the Make-A-Wish Foundation chapter there in Memphis. So let our listeners know about that and how they can get involved and try to help out. And if it's not in their local chapter, if they're not in the Memphis or the Mid-South area, there are chapters around the country.
Yeah, I mean, you can always find if you're local, if you have a local chapter, just type in Make-A-Wish of whatever city you're living in, and you'll find the nearest. Mine right now is it's Make-A-Wish of the Mid-South, and that encompasses West Tennessee, all of Arkansas, and North Mississippi. So we get a lot of children and a lot of families from those areas, and Make-A-Wish is an incredible organization. I've learned a lot about myself, a lot about my family, a lot about childhood illness and how it affects their families, through all these great, wonderful women that I work with. And Stephanie and I are so lucky to have met these people. Having a relationship with St. Jude like I have really kind of got me involved with kids early on. It's arguably one of the best charities, probably the best children's hospital in the world. Do so many good things, have cured so many cancers, have given kids an opportunity to live longer lives and everything. So it was an easy, kind of an easy choice for me to join forces with them. I love it. As a parent, I kind of feel a lot of I wouldn't say sympathy, but just a lot of sadness, I think, for these moms and dads that have children that are affected with these horrible illnesses. But my chapter is, you can find it at midsouth.makeawish.org, or you can just type in makeawish.org, I think, and that'll pull it up for your area. And if you want to participate, I know that what they're doing they're doing so many great things, and there are so many great charities out there, but I feel like giving these children a chance, is a great thing to be involved with, and Stephanie and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, that's great stuff, and kudos to you and to your wife for the great work that you're doing, and the great work, obviously, that the Make-A-Wish Foundation does, across the country. So they're great charity and a great thing that you guys do.
Yeah, right. And there was something that I saw. If anybody has an opportunity to see this, whether it's, I don't know if it's at a theater or you can probably type it in online. There was a young boy out in California that got his wish, and they made a movie about it. It's called Bat Kid. And this young boy, yes, and it was we had a private showing here in Memphis over the summer, and just the whole city of San Francisco came out and adopted this young boy. I follow him on Twitter, so I think his mom and dad did the Twitter thing, and they followed me back, and I haven't seen a lot of posts. I don't know how he's doing, but and of course never met him, but he certainly made a lot of fans, and it's just an incredible inspiration, really, about the organization as a whole. But you really fall in love with this one kid, and it's so easy to do,
right?
And it just really gives kind of the spirit of Make-A-Wish and what it's all about. Everybody's kind of philanthropic in their own way, but if you're out there looking and you're thinking about becoming involved in some way, Make-A-Wish is definitely a good choice.
Absolutely, it is. And Shaun, before we let you go, we talked here about social media. Let our listeners remind us how we can follow you over social media.
At Twitter, I'm at Shaun Micheel PGA, and I'm just Shaun Micheel on both LinkedIn and Facebook. So I'm there, and again, happy to entertain anybody's questions or comments or even some criticism. It's okay with me. I understand that that's part of it. So reach out to me and see if I can give you some insight into the things that I've been able to accomplish or not accomplish or whatever you're going to ask me. I'm there.
Well, you're certainly an open book every week that you join us here on this show. Hopefully, we don't get much of the negative piece, but there's so much positive that you've achieved. Like I say, that needs more recognition, and the things that you've done off the course, Shaun, as well. So thank you for that.
The negatives, all those things that are kind of quashed by the events that happened yesterday in Paris, France.
Right.
My father was a veteran. And, I think all of us should be completely disgusted by what's going on in the world these days. And so certainly we have a lot of gratitude and heartfelt appreciation for the men and women of not only our military, but other militaries around the world that are fighting these people that just have and this ideology that we don't all share. And it's unfortunate. I hope some way that, and I kind of worry about my kids and how they're going to grow up, and I'd certainly like to know that we could eradicate that. I know we're trying our best, so keep on fighting out there, guys and girls.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for mentioning that, Shaun. All right, Shaun, thanks for your time today. It's always, such a pleasure to sit back and listen to you share your stories and your insights with us. We've got, dozens and dozens of questions over the last couple of weeks, so very thrilled for how many people are wanting to reach out to you, and we're going to get to more of those questions hopefully the next time that your schedule allows us, whether that's that next week or in the weeks coming. So thank you for being willing to do it. Thanks for your time today, and we look forward to catching up with you again, hopefully real soon.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Hope you have a great show.
All right, thanks, Shaun. Take care.
Yeah. Okay.
That's 2003 PGA champion and so much more, Mr. Shaun Micheel. Again, the great stuff that he achieved over the course of his career. Please look it up. Like I said at the top, he is far from a one-hit wonder, and you would be really hard-pressed to find somebody who had as much success in the early part of the 2000s that Shaun Micheel has had. So we appreciate Shaun's time again this morning. All right, folks, we'll wrap up the show. I hope you'll come back here in just a minute. We've got a word from our friends over at the French Lick Resort, plus the Salute Military Golf Association. You want to talk about a group of folks doing some great things. The Salute Military Golf Association is definitely one of them.
The Salute Military Golf Association was created to provide rehabilitative golf experiences to the brave men and women who have been wounded while serving our country. Hi, I'm Jim Estes, PGA Golf Pro and co-founder of the Salute Military Golf Association. With my adaptive golf program, we've successfully helped thousands of soldiers in their recovery, both mentally and physically. The SMGA has been providing family-inclusive golf experiences across the country since 2007. To date, the SMGA has equipped more than 1,000 warriors with properly fitted golf clubs and has extended its clinic series to more than 8 chapter and affiliate locations across the U.S. If you are a wounded veteran interested in participating, or if you'd like to learn more about the Salute Military Golf Association and find a chapter closest to you, visit our website at smga.org. We've seen firsthand how impactful golf can be in aiding one's recovery. The Salute Military Golf Association, empowering wounded veterans one fairway at a time. Visit smga.org. That's smga.org.
You just can't beat this weather. The leaves are starting to change. It's the perfect time to get away to French Lick Resort and play the courses the champions play. This year, the Pete Dye course at French Lick has hosted the Senior PGA Championship and the Legends of the LPGA Championship. Play our Donald Ross course and feel like 1924 PGA champion Walter Hagen. Fall is the perfect time to play the courses the champions play at French Lick Resort. Book our Hall of Fame package now at FrenchLick.com.
You're listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, heard around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network.
All right, folks, it's time for me to put a bow on this episode. I want to, thank Shaun Micheel for, what a wonderful time and so insightful for the things that he was able to achieve over the course of his career and that he's doing now. So we appreciate Shaun's friendship and the fact that he joins us just about every single week now on Next on the Tee. So thank you very much, Shaun. Also want to remind you about the great book that our friends Dave Stockton Jr. and his father, Dave Stockton Sr., have out there called Own Your Own Game. You hear me talk about it almost every single week here on the show, folks. Remember, so much of the game, and you heard Shaun talk about it today, is played in that 5-inch space between our ears. So get your mind right. In this latest book, the Stocktons let you know how to use your mind to play winning golf. Own Your Game recreates the experience of riding 18 holes with Mr. Stockton at one of his highly sought-after corporate outings and draws from his experience as a champion player both on the regular tour, the senior now Champions Tour, as well as being a revered coach. He shows you how to think better, stay calmer, execute more consistently, and most importantly, right, folks, enjoy the game more thoroughly. Go to StocktonGolf.com to get your copy, and for a couple of extra dollars, Mr. Stockton will even autograph it for you. The Stocktons are also, they've started a new partnership with a company called Back 9 Greens. For our listeners out there in California, check out back9greens.com. If you're like me and you hate cutting the grass, check out their great, artificial turf landscapes. Plus, they're great putting greens. They're absolutely amazing. I'm telling you, absolutely amazing. You take a look at these things, you're going to be shocked at what you see. They're so fantastic. They have an unmatched passion for installing the highest quality artificial grass products, including synthetic grass lawns and synthetic turf putting greens. So fantastic, folks. I can't say it enough. Check them out online, Back 9 Greens. All right, everybody. My sincere thanks one more time to Shaun Micheel for joining me today, and for you guys for tuning in. We know you, like I say at the top, you have 1,000 things you can listen to, and we are so excited that you have made Next on the Tee one of them. Please also check out our sister show, Thursday Night Tailgate, with me, my co-host Bob Lazari, and our announcer Joe LaGenusa. That show airs live every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on the Armed Forces Radio Network, armedforcesradionetwork.org. You can find us on Blog Talk Radio, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Player.fm, SoundCloud. We are all over the net. Every week on Thursday Night Tailgate, we are joined by legends from stars from around the NFL. We're official partners of the NFL Alumni Association. So, we've got great former players on there sharing great stories. You can find us online at ThursdayNightTailgate.com. This show online at NextOnTheTee.net. From either site, you can stream or download any of our archived episodes for free, plus keep up to date with who some of our future guests are going to be as well. Thanks again for choosing to be here today. We appreciate you guys the very most. Until next week, hit 'em straight, my friends.
You've been listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, where PGA and LPGA legends, pros and top instructors, and media members go to tell their stories. Join us the same time every Saturday to hear more stories about the game we love from the people who love sharing those stories with you. It's all about the great game of golf. It's all about the great game of golf.